everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. Very quick video today. I just want to compare a couple of shoes that I've got that I think would be quite useful for people who like a kind of max stack, max cushion shoe, but also require some element of stability within the shoe. Also good shoes for walking. I know there's been quite a few people who have asked about these shoes and whether they're suitable for walking. Both of these shoes would be suitable for walking. Okay, I've done a run test where I've run with each of the shoe, one after the other, the same course of my local park, to get an idea of which I think of the two shoes I think are the best. Obviously, that's my opinion. Obviously, there might be other reasons why you would think the other shoe would be better than the one I pick. But these are just my thoughts on both shoes, and hopefully they'll help you pick the right shoe for your kind of stability max cushion needs. Okay, so the shoes that we're going to review today, we've got the New Balance Fresh Foam More V5. So this is a max stack cushion shoe that's been released recently from New Balance. We've got a massive wedge of 43mm in the heel, 39 in the 4mm drop. It's quite important, so it's a low drop. So it means you get a lot of cushion under the forefoot. So if you're a forefoot striker like me, it's quite nice to feel that bounce and cushion under the forefoot. And then the other shoe we're going to look at is the shoe from Saucony. It's a Hurricane 24. Again, max cushion shoe, not as much cushion as the More V5 actually. You've got 38 in the heel, which is quite surprising actually. They look, I mean, almost similar. I mean, it looks like more on here, but it's quite considerable amount on here, 43 as opposed to 38 in the heel. You've got a 6mm drop, so you've got 32 in the forefoot. It's quite a big difference as well in terms of the amount of cushion under the forefoot. So bear that in mind. If you're a forefoot striker like me, you might quite like the cushion, extra cushion that this provides. Weight-wise, they're similar. The More V5 is slightly lighter at 327 grams, whereas the Saucony Hurricane 24 comes in 10 grams heavier at 337 grams. So this is slightly heavier. I think part of that is the fact that they're both 9.5s. I went up half the size in both. And I think that was the right thing for me to do. Both fit quite nice, that half a size extra. But if you look at the dimensions of the shoe, you can see that the Saucony shoe is longer. And that probably accounts for the extra weight there. So just bear that in mind. You may not need to go up half the size in the Saucony. You may be able to go true to size in this, but I would say with New Balance, I've always had to go up half the size because they've always been quite tight. In terms of the upper, both got good uppers, both very plush, both have what I would describe as rigid heel counters, good lockdown, nice padded tongs on both, laces are absolutely fine on both. So here's where it starts to differ a little bit. So the More V5 has got a wider forefoot area, as you can see. You can just about see that it's wider. Okay, neither are narrow, but this is definitely wider. But there is a but there. But the volume is lower. So you've got fat toes like me, you do get a little bit of your toes, top of your toes pressing on the material here. Whereas I didn't get that at all with Saucony. I think, if we're starting to score the two against each other, I would say in terms of the upper, I would say the Saucony Hurricane 24 wins. Like, let's assume we're going to grade them out of 5 here, right? I would say this is 4 out of 5, maybe a 5 out of 5. This is a good solid 3 out of 5. Both good uppers, both really nice and comfortable. I'm marking this down because of the low volume, that's all. Okay, now let's go to the outsole. So look, a quick comparison of the two. There you can see. So I would say both quite similar outsoles. I would say when I ran, I slightly preferred the Saucony outsole. I think the grip is slightly better. These darker exposed rubber bit into the surface slightly better than the New Balance. Both have this exposed foam. So the grey bit here is very soft, and this is also PIBA foam here, race day foam. We'll go on to talk about that in a little bit. So both actually have exposed foam. So I would say that there may be durability issues with both. So if you go off-road, for instance, where there's rocks and sharp rocks, you may get this degradation in the foam areas here. But the hard rubber, I think, are on all the key areas, and I think they'll do fine. So that's the outsole. I think, again, scoring it, I'm going to go 3 out of 5. No, sorry, 4 out of 5, and I'm going to go 3 out of 5. So another win there for the Saucony. Midsole now. So midsole, you've got a massive stack of a cushion in the More V5. You've got, like I said, you've got 43 under the heel, 39 under the forefoot. So you really do notice that when you're running in it. It's got that nice cushion, not mushy, but really nice cushion. And you get that really nice sensation that your legs are getting supported and it's pinging you along. Whereas this has got less foam, you do notice that. This has got a lower drop actually, and we're going to talk about that in a minute because that can be a bit confusing. But in terms of the foam, this is less foam. You do notice that it feels a lower shoe. You feel lower down in this shoe. Both have got sidewalls. So here you can see this area here. Your foot sinks into that, so it locks your foot going straight forward, and that's one of the stability features of this shoe. This also, again, has sidewalls here. Again, you don't get much medial or lateral movements at all of the foot. So those with problems with ankles and ligaments, ankle ligaments, that type of thing, both of these shoes are going to be fine for you. I feel like this, for me, I preferred the foam in this, even though this has got PIBA foam. I just liked the amount of foam, how cushioned it was. This has a nice bounce to it, as does this, but you can feel the PIBA. You can feel the PIBA here, giving you that nice bounce. So what you've got, just to explain it a bit more, is you've got the EVA as a frame, and then in the middle you've got your PIBA. Okay, and you can see down the bottom the color change. PIBA is the lighter colour, EVA the darker colour, and at the bottom you've got this nice frame around the PIBA, and that's so that when you hit the ground, the foam doesn't ping you off in different directions. It's got the EVA, harder EVA framed around it, so it keeps it centralised. I think it's called centre path technology that Saucony have come up with there. And it is a very good idea, and I'm interested to see where they go with this. Because for people with stability needs, like wants a neutral stable shoe, I think this makes perfect sense to me. I like the technology and how they're thinking about the shoe here. Obviously this doesn't have that. It's got one wedge of EVA, fresh foam, and that's all you get. You don't have this combination dual density foams. So there's a difference there. But if I was going to, let's split the midsole into two. Let's go for foam and geometry. Okay, and we'll come to that in a minute. So if we mark them out 5 for the foam, I'm going to go 5 for this. I think the foam is incredible. And I'm going to go 4. The PIBA is nice in this, but I generally like the extra foam that you get in this shoe. And the fact that it's lighter and with the extra foam, I think it's, good, full marks to New Balance to be able to do that. So that's the foam. Right, this is where it gets interesting for me, the geometry of the shoe. Now, When I run in these shoes, I get a very different experience. Despite the shoes, you know, seemingly being quite similar, they're very different. And I believe it's because of the geometry, right? And you probably can't see it properly there, but this is far more aggressive rocker than this. And that's despite this being a lower drop, okay? So when I land on this, it tips me forward and rolls through my stride, and it feels lovely. It feels absolutely lovely. Whereas where I land in the Hurricane 24, being a 4-foot striker, it feels so flat. I'm not used to having a shoe that feels this flat, that I get this flappy, almost feels like I've got wood under my feet, wooden boards under my feet. That's a bit harsh. Let's say bamboo, so it's a bit springy, right? And so I much preferred the geometry of this shoe to this shoe. So in terms of like the actual run, and this is the most important key point here, for me, I would score this again, right, 4 out of 5, right up there. And this one, unfortunately, I'm going to say 2 out of 5 because it just didn't work for me. It felt really flat. And I think heel strikers are going to like this shoe, or people that land naturally flat are going to like this shoe better than I did. I like rockers in my shoe, right? I like to be able to hit a spot and feel the shoe assisting me forward. I got none of that with the Hurricane. I got loads of that with the New Balance More V5. That's pretty much it in terms of like comparing the two. So like to summarize, I think if you need a stable neutral shoe, but you want to err on the side of stability, i.e. having a shoe that's stable is more important to you than having a shoe that's kind of neutral and fun and bouncy, then I would go with the Hurricane 24. It's the most stable of the two shoes. It's lower stack. You're going to feel more grounded if you can feel grounded with a 38 millimeter heel, and you're going to feel the sidewalls and this frame keeping you locked in. This definitely felt a more stable shoe but less fun shoe to me. This shoe, it felt very much stable neutral. It's not a stability shoe. There's a massive wedge of foam here that you sit on top of, but because of the sidewalls you do get locked in a little bit. It's less stable than this shoe, but boy is it nice to run in. It's a real leg saver, this one. I'm going to use it for the majority of my slow runs when I'm marathon training, and the fact it's got this rocker means I can take this a bit further. Slightly lighter as well, so another reason why I could take this on longer runs. So that's what I would summarize, who this shoe would be good for. Hopefully you found that interesting. There's some run footage that you should watch, and if you like these kind of reviews, obviously give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I've just recently got over 100 subscribers. I know that's tiny, but it's a massive thing for me. I've only just started the channel, and every single one of you, I really appreciate the fact that you've bothered to click and subscribe, because it means a lot to me. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions, or if you want more of this kind of video, and basically I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. I'm down my local park and I want to do a quick test. I've got a couple of what I would call stable neutral shoes that I bought recently. Good for slow runs, very stable. And I want to just see which, in my opinion, of the two pairs of shoes I would recommend you guys purchase if you're going to purchase just one. Okay, the shoes that I'm talking about are the New Balance Fresh Foam X More V5 and also the Saucony Hurricane 24. So they're both very highly regarded max cushion shoes with stable features. That's why I'll call them kind of stable neutral shoes. So hopefully at the end of this video we'll have a clear winner, one that I can recommend to you all. So we're going to start with the More V5. We'll give that a go, and then I'll go back home, change, and I'll run in the other one, the exact same run, and see how they compare. All right, cheers and bye. I love running when the in autumn when the leaves are down. It's really nice to see all the kind of different colour trees, the trees going red, leaves on the floor. Presents a bit of a challenge though out when you're running, particularly if it's wet and slippy leaves. Luckily today none of that, or unlucky because we won't be able to test the grip that well of these shoes. But what I would say about the More V5s is really the foam is starting to break in a bit, and it's feeling rather nice and bouncy now. Not there quite yet, I don't think, but you can feel the cushion in the bounce a lot more than I did the other day. And with the rocker in these shoes, you can pick up the pace a little bit. Even though they are heavy, you can certainly pick up the pace, and you can accelerate through the gears somewhat. It's not a race shoe by any means, but it's not horrendously slow either. It's not slappy when you land. There's a nice kind of curvature to the rocker that makes, you know, going through the stride, going through your foot stride quite clean and rhythmical, and what I would say is effortless. You know, there's no friction there, no slapping. Feels nice. I do like these shoes. I like the fact that I can splay my toes when I run in them. That's a bonus. Not all shoes you can do that. They've got a nice wide toe box. They've got a low volume toe box, so that's one of the negatives, in a sense that you know, the roof of the shoe in the forefoot is low. So if you've got fat toes like me, that's not good, because it means they rub a little bit. It's worse actually in the Fuel Cell Super Comp Elite V4 that I wore earlier. It's definitely worse in those. But yeah, the material here is softer than those, so it's nicer. Obviously means it's heavier though, because general rule of thumb, the plusher the material then the padding is, the heavier your shoe's going to be, and normally that means not so great for going fast. Although I have to say the shoe isn't terrible for that. I think it's been designed with slow runs in mind, but it definitely is not terrible for picking up the pace. And my legs are pretty tired, as I keep telling everyone. I've done Berlin and Chicago marathon recently, but even so, they're tired. But this is a very cushioned, nice experience to run in this shoe. A lot nicer than you might expect, given the size of it, the sheer bulkiness of it. It doesn't feel too bad actually on the foot. It feels less bulky than it looks to run in, by some way actually. I mean, we're going to see the Hurricane 24 in a bit, the Saucony shoe, and I would say that's a direct competitor for this shoe. I wouldn't put this up against the Super Blast or the Skyward X or the Neo Vista, really. Maybe Skyward X, but they're all plated shoes. Neo Vista's nylon plate. Actually, sorry, Super Blast, what I'm talking about, it's not plated, but it's a quicker shoe. It's confusing because it feels like it's plated half the time. But yeah, I wouldn't put it up against those. It's not nowhere near as fast as the Super Blast. Or the Neo Vista for that matter. Neo Vista's got a really nice geometry to it and good foam that allows you to pick up the pace. And as we all know, Super Blast is probably a lot better at tempo pace than it is at slow pace. I'd say this is more slow pace shoe that can do tempo work. Super Blast is definitely a kind of tempo shoe that if you have to, you can run slow in, but it doesn't really like that. You know, you start to feel the stiffness of the shoe when you do that. You don't in this shoe. The More V5 fresh foam New Balance More V5, you know, it's firm-ish, but kind of nice and cushioned, not mushy, but not hard or firm like the Super Blast can be. It's a nice in between. Something quite nice about running in the early evening. You know, still light enough to run, but you kind of have that intimacy of the slightly dark sky and you know, you feel like you're properly on your own even though you're not. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm really enjoying running in this shoe. And going back to what I said about Skyward X, actually, there are some similarities there. Pretty identical weight, similar sort of experience in terms of how it's rocketed and you can pick up the pace. It just mislikes the plate, so it is less bouncy. Just as cushioned but less bouncy. I think in that respect Skyward X is a bit unique, but if you're willing to pay £200 for it, then you've got an amazing shoe to do this kind of work runs. But this is at £140. I think this represents better value for money. Plus, it's not good to run in a carbon plate all the time. It feels a bit wrong to me, I don't know why, but to have your slow run shoe with a carbon plate, even though I know it's a convex plate, so the bounce is upwards, so it's protective rather than throwing you forwards. I think it just feels a bit wrong, you know, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm at the lights now. I'll start running again in a sec. But while I'm taking a break, really nice shoe to run in. Yeah, one of the best max cushion shoes that I've run in. And at £140, I know it sounds ridiculous to say this, but that represents in nowadays terms a bit of a bargain for this shoe. I would pair this up with either Neo Vista or Super Blast to do your tempo work. Balos, if you want to keep it in the New Balance family. And then you could have a race day shoe of the Super Comp Fuel Cell Elite V4 if you want to keep it New Balance, or you know, you want to go for something a bit lighter, Metaspeed Sky Paris, favourite of mine. I'm yet to take that marathon distance, but I think I will at some point, at least half marathon, and see how I get on. This has got a low drop, by the way, the More V5. It's only 4mm, so that's something else to bear in mind. I think the Hurricane, the drop is higher than that. I think I'll remind myself when I get back. But for those who don't like low drop, that could be an issue. You know, those with calf issues, it might put a bit of unwanted pressure on your calves. But let's see. Anyway, nearly done the first round of this test. Hurricane 24, Saucony Hurricane 24 next. Done. Okay, a bit darker now. I've got the Hurricane, Saucony Hurricane 24 even on my feet, and almost immediately I can tell you there's a big difference running in these shoes. The base seems a lot wider even than the More V5. It feels a lot of a lower drop, even though I don't think it is, but I have to check that. But it feels like a lower drop. It feels very flat to run in. There's a real lack of any kind of rocker in this shoe, and I'm hitting the forefoot here and I don't feel like I'm getting rocked forward. So if you're the kind of person who likes that kind of flat natural feel without a rocker, this might work for you. Personally, it's not doing it for me at the moment. I think the foam is good. I can feel a little bit of a bounce on the foam, but I don't feel half as much cushioning as I did in the More V5. It feels firmer. Maybe it needs breaking in. I think what you've got in here is a mixture of EVA and this Power Run HG that you've got in the Endorphin Pro 4. Sorry, Power Run PB, I think, like you've got in the Endorphin Pro 4. And so you've got this EVA frame of foam around that, and that should add to stability of this shoe. So it doesn't, when you bounce, the foam compresses, it compresses forward in a natural way rather than left or right. So this really has some good stability features, and I can tell you already that this is a very stable shoe. So if that's important to you, I think you're going to do well with this shoe. The rides, I mean, it's a bit flappy for my liking. I like a rocker, just my preference, but it's not terrible at all. It's okay. It just feels a bit flat, a bit like I've got planks of wood under my feet, or bouncy wood, maybe bamboo or something. That's bouncy, isn't it? I think so. People with headphones never get out of your way. Anyway, yeah, so it's a stark contrast actually between the two. The upper's nice. I mean, the upper's very roomy, feels good. I probably prefer this upper actually, slightly. There's more volume. My feet don't feel as, toes don't feel as squashed. And it doesn't look quite as ridiculous looking, the foam. There's less stack. And the foot, there's still a lot, but there's a little bit less. It is a big shoe though. It's a tank of a shoe, just like the More V5. In no way are either of these shoes nimble. I just feel like this shoe, I don't think I could pick up the pace very easily in this shoe. And that's despite having this Peeper foam in there. It feels a bit strange. I expected this shoe to be the faster shoe, but I very much doubt that's the case. I mean, for me, this is very much a slow, plodding run of a shoe. It doesn't really fit my mechanics too well. That's what I'm saying. If you like shoes that feel flat when you land and that don't have much of a rocker, then you might like this shoe, because everything else is pretty good, to be honest. There's cushion, and you've always got this Peeper foam, so you've got a nice little bounce going on here. It doesn't feel like the same Peeper that's in the Endorphin Pro 4 though, even though they say it is. I doubt that. It doesn't feel as responsive. It's possibly the same, similar to Triumph 22, those that tried that shoe. Not a big fan of that shoe, to be honest. Tried it, didn't really like it, sent it back. It's funny, I haven't done that very often. I've done that with the Triumph 22 and also with a very popular shoe, the Rebel V4, which I didn't like at all. I just felt like, I mean, to be fair, I like cushion. I like to have like a nice wedge of foam under my foot, and that didn't really cut it for me. For something that, you know, I might want to take on a long run, I don't think that would be very good for me. But then again, lots of people love that shoe. No plates in it, but they love it because it's nimble. They can go fast in it. I just wasn't a fan of the Rebels at all. I couldn't really understand what people were saying about it, but enough people were saying it was good that it made me think it's just me. But going back to this shoe, Saucony Hurricane 24, if we look at the pros and cons of the two, now that I'm running both, I would say the More V5 is the nicer ride for me. I can pick up pace in that shoe far easier than this Hurricane. I think it feels more cushioned. It feels like it would protect my legs more than this shoe. Bounce wise, I think they're about the same. Perhaps if I broke the Peeper in, broke the EVA in these, the bounce might be even better, but a similar bounce. This feels a lot, well, they both feel stable. I'd say that the More V5 is a neutral stable shoe, and this almost feels like a stability shoe with how wide it is, and like I said, the frame of the EVA and the Peeper. It's been designed, a lot of thought's gone in for stability in this shoe. Yeah. Excuse my French. Yeah, I think that's probably it, really. Yeah, I'd say that's a good comparison. I prefer the upper in this one, and I prefer the look just about. Not a lot in that, to be honest. They're both humongous shoes. But this, I'm not a fan of these flappy shoes that make you feel like you've got wooden boards underneath your feet. Not a big fan of those. But honestly, you know, that's just me being picky. There's nothing actually wrong with this shoe. It's a good shoe, and if they didn't have the Mori 5, I'd use this for my slow runs, no problem. Right.